tracked many wild boar control teams over the years, but rarely had the atmosphere been as tense as it was that night. At the edge of a silent forest, a trap was set with a single purpose: to protect the crops and the peace of the community. What happened in the moments that followed became an unforgettable memory.
Favorite. Or
That I in the thick, suffocating darkness, a herd of wild boars emerged, surrounding the steel frame like shifting shadows. Heavy impacts rang out in rapid succession. The steel mesh trembled under the raw power of their massive bodies. It all stemmed from a harsh reality. For many nights in a row, fields had been torn apart, leaving farmers sleepless with anxiety and worry. Just hours earlier, the group had split into smaller teams. One positioned themselves along a familiar trail, the path the boars often took from the forest to the farmland. The damp ground revealed deep, fresh, and densely packed footprints. There was no doubt the herd would return.
A lot of hog tracks, as you can see.
The chosen solution was a large circular steel mesh trap, designed to capture the entire herd rather than just a few individuals. Made of reinforced, rust-resistant steel, it was built to withstand the powerful charges of animals weighing hundreds of kilograms. Previous methods had failed, capturing only a few and making the rest more cautious than ever.
Halfway. And then you hook it in this loop.
To the ground, and then when the pig tries to walk out. So when we set the trap, this is the strap. You want this.
The trap system was constructed with near-perfect precision. Thick steel stakes were driven deep into the ground. Heavy rolls of mesh were stretched tight, woven densely like protective armor. Each anchor point was secured firmly with sledgehammers. There was no room for error. Even the smallest gap could allow a fully grown boar to break the entire structure. Inside the enclosure, bait was carefully placed. Fermented corn mixed with molasses, releasing a scent that spread through the damp air. Once everything was set, the forest grew eerily quiet. The night deepened. From a safe distance, the team observed through cameras. At first, only motionless trees. Then the air seemed to shift. One shadow appeared, then another, until the entire herd slowly revealed itself. More than 20 animals entered the area, moving cautiously, their snouts constantly scanning the ground. In an instant, the mechanism was triggered. The rear mesh dropped suddenly, sealing the enclosure. A deep roar echoed, followed by chaos. The ground was torn apart. Massive bodies slammed into the net in desperation. The noise was overwhelming, metal rattling, cables straining and screeching, and violent collisions erupting all at once. The largest boar charged straight at the edge. The steel bent slightly, then snapped back. It attacked again and again, but the tall barrier held firm. The anchored stakes remained unmoved, like nails driven deep into the earth. Gradually, the herd exhausted itself in futile attempts. And at that very moment, signals came in from other teams. Not just one. All traps had been successfully triggered. AS, they moved closer. The true size of the herd became undeniable. Muscles rippled beneath thick skin marked with deep scars. Their breath formed faint mist in the cold air. The lead boar still circled the enclosure, searching for one last escape, a living symbol of an unyielding survival instinct. But everything was under control. In accordance with regulations and humane principles, the handling process was carried out swiftly and decisively, avoiding prolonged stress. As dawn slowly broke, the forest returned to its natural stillness. Morning mist settled lightly over the damp mesh. One by one, the teams reported in. Every operation was successful. The entire herd had been contained. Villagers gradually gathered. There were no loud cheers, only relieved eyes and quiet nods. At least for another season, the harvest had been protected, and in that moment, those who had stayed awake through the long night could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The greatest threat had, for now, been pushed back.
Just start in the back and work your way forward. So keep running in a straight.
A silent war is unfolding across the vast fields of Texas. Giant wild boar herds frequently attack farms, disturbing the land, destroying crops, and causing tens of thousands of dollars in damage to farmers. These animals are not only strong, but also extremely intelligent, making previous control measures nearly useless. In response to this growing threat, Texas farmers have implemented an audacious solution, the largest trap ever installed in the region. But the big question remains, can this giant trap stop the destruction caused by wild boars? Can they halt the invasion, or will they watch their fields continue to be destroyed? It all began with the increasingly severe damage to farms. A large portion of Texas's farmland has been continuously affected. Crops have been uprooted and irrigation systems destroyed after wild boar herds attacked. What was once considered a rare occurrence in remote rural areas has now become a widespread issue across the state. Wild boars not only damage crops and the environment, but also carry dangerous diseases, such as African swine fever, ASF. foot and mouth disease, and respiratory diseases, which can quickly spread to domestic pigs and other wildlife. ASF, for instance, can wipe out entire herds, severely affecting the livestock industry. In addition, wild boars also carry bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli, which can spread through the environment or livestock. Controlling the disease spread caused by wild boars is becoming a major challenge, requiring stricter preventative measures. When threatened, wild boars can become aggressive and attack anyone who invades their territory, especially mature males during breeding season. This poses a danger to farmers, hunters, and workers in areas inhabited by wild boars. Moreover, traffic collisions with wild boars are becoming increasingly common, causing property damage and posing a risk of injury to vehicle operators. Managing wild boars in densely populated areas is essential to protect both human lives and property. To cope with the increasing pressure from wild boar herds, the Texas authorities have implemented a range of flexible control measures. These methods range from small traps to using helicopters or hunting boars. Among these methods, the steel-frame ground traps are considered one of the most effective. The trap structure is made from reinforced 4-gauge steel, forming a solid barrier akin to a small fortress in the field. The trap's door is about 8 feet wide, approximately 2.4 meters, weighs around 70 kilograms, and is enormous in size. It is connected to a remote control system via mobile networks, allowing the trap's door to be activated remotely from a phone. The trap's location is also carefully calculated, typically placed near wild boar migration routes, especially near water sources or areas where they frequently forage. The trap's fencing is reinforced with T-shaped steel posts driven nearly a meter into the ground, sturdy enough to withstand the force of adult wild boars, which can weigh several hundred kilograms. For several consecutive days, corn is scattered inside the trap to attract wild boars. Each day, up to 90 kilograms of bait is used. When the infrared cameras detect that the entire boar herd has entered the trap, the operator will activate the door remotely. Within seconds, the heavy steel door crashes down, completely trapping the boars inside. This method has been successful, with more than 30 wild boars, estimated to weigh over a ton in total, being trapped inside. This is considered one of the few methods capable of capturing the entire herd at once, rather than just a few individuals.
Hey there.
The morning over the fields began with an unusual silence. When the farmers stepped out to inspect their land, they quickly realized the ground had changed. Long rows of soil had been torn apart into large patches, as if a giant plow had passed through during the night. Many crops had been uprooted, their young roots exposed on the damp mud. All of these signs pointed to something familiar yet troubling. A sounder of wild boars had visited the area during the night in search of food. At first, many people thought it was just a random visit, but only a few days later, the same kinds of tracks appeared again. The damaged patches of soil gradually spread, expanding from the edges of the field deeper into the cultivated area. The wild boars were not only searching for food, but also repeatedly returning along the same route. Once the herd developed a fixed travel pattern, simple attempts to drive them away were no longer effective. That was when wildlife management teams began to intervene. Instead of rushing to chase the animals away, they chose a more cautious method, studying the behavior of the wild boars before taking any action. Infrared cameras were installed along the forest edge and the trails leading into the fields. After only a few nights of observation, the picture became clearer. The boars moved in groups of 10 to 15 individuals, usually appearing at the same time each night and following the exact same paths. Understanding this pattern allowed the experts to choose more effective trap locations. Instead of placing many small devices scattered around, they focused on the intersections of the trails. There, a large steel cage trap was carefully installed. The trap frame was built from thick steel bars and firmly anchored into the ground to withstand the powerful force of adult boars. The trapdoor was designed as a gravity drop gate that could shut quickly once the trigger mechanism was activated. For several consecutive days, food was placed near the trap area while the door remained open. Fermented corn and various grains were scattered evenly inside and around the steel cage. The scent of the food quickly attracted the attention of the wild boars. At first, they stood at a distance and observed. The adults were usually the first to approach, sniffing around the area before cautiously stepping inside to test the space. After a few nights, the initial hesitation gradually disappeared. Cameras recorded the moment when the entire group began entering the trap to search for food. The younger boars followed the adults, moving through the trapdoor naturally without realizing they were stepping into a controlled space. Once the experts were confident that most of the herd had grown accustomed to entering the trap, the trigger mechanism was finally activated. Food was placed deeper inside, forcing the boars to move fully into the interior of the cage. When the leading boar touched the trigger bar, the trapdoor instantly dropped down, sealing the exit. The moment happened very quickly. Within just a few seconds, the steel cage shifted from an open state to a completely locked enclosure. The sturdy bars kept the structure stable, preventing the boars from breaking through the frame. The following morning, the management team returned to inspect the site. Inside the cage was the entire group of wild boars that had been damaging the fields for weeks.
Okay, I didn't know she was coming.
Thanks to careful observation of behavior and thorough preparation, they were able to control many individuals at once rather than dealing with each animal separately. This method not only helps reduce damage for farmers, but also demonstrates the importance of understanding wild animal behavior. When humans patiently observe and apply the right strategy, conflicts between wildlife and agricultural land can be managed more effectively. In many farming regions, cage trap systems like these are becoming an important part of wild boar management strategies. They allow managers to monitor herds, control population numbers, and reduce pressure on crops without disrupting the surrounding ecosystem.
They not only devastate crops and knock down fences, but also cause enormous economic losses every year. What once seemed like a localized issue has rapidly spread, becoming a serious threat to both agriculture and the ecosystem. The speed at which this species adapts and expands its territory has raised significant concern among researchers, as it not only occupies habitats, but also disrupts the already fragile natural balance. What is remarkable, however, is that the way humans are addressing this issue no longer relies on outdated methods. Instead, they are combining technology with a deep understanding of animal behavior to create more effective solutions. These animals are not considered livestock, but rather an invasive species that causes substantial harm to the environment and agricultural production. Their presence brings a cascade of consequences, from crop destruction to soil degradation. Their rooting behavior in search of food turns the soil upside down, destroying its natural structure and disrupting irrigation systems. Fields that were once stable become disordered, losing the fertility necessary for crops to thrive. And it does not stop there. These animals also inflict severe damage on key crops, directly affecting food supply and farmers' livelihoods. That is why modern trapping systems have been developed, aiming not just to capture individual animals, but to control entire groups at once. This process is far more complex than simply setting a trap and waiting. It begins with a carefully calculated strategy. Operators use fermented bait with a strong scent to attract them to a fixed location. The scent spreads through the air, creating a familiar meeting point that the animals gradually return to each night. Maintaining a consistent food source is the key factor. Once the animals recognize it as an easy and safe source of food, they return more frequently, gradually losing their initial caution. After some time, the trap structure is set up around the area, but not immediately activated. This allows the animals to become accustomed to the presence of the trap without feeling threatened. After days, even weeks of monitoring, the right moment finally arrives. When the entire group, including the most cautious individuals, has gathered within the trap area, the system is activated. In that instant, the whole group is contained at once, minimizing any chance of escape. Beyond physical damage, this species also carries significant disease risks. They can act as carriers of bacteria and parasites that spread to livestock, domestic animals, and even humans. Controlling and isolating them within a closed system helps significantly reduce the risk of transmission, protecting both nearby farms and communities. Their strength is another factor that cannot be underestimated. A fully grown individual can reach a substantial weight and move at remarkable speed. When panicked, they can generate enough force to break weak structures. For this reason, trapping systems must be built with high-strength materials, solid structures, and anchored deep into the ground to ensure safety. More importantly, This method is not merely about controlling population numbers. It represents a smarter and more sustainable approach, where humans use knowledge and technology to solve problems instead of relying on reactive measures. Understanding the species' habits, instincts, and behavior has become the key to achieving long-term effectiveness. The success of a trapping system is not measured solely by the number of animals controlled, but by what is preserved. In the end, nature always exists in a delicate balance. And it is timely, science-based, and well-informed intervention that helps maintain that harmony in the most sustainable way.
In a small village in the southern United States, the nights are no longer as quiet as they once were. Wild boars have begun to move in, tearing up fields, bending wooden fences, and leaving fresh tracks right beside the homes where people live. But this time, the villagers chose a different approach. Instead of reacting the old way with scattered and short-term measures, they made a new decision together: to build a shared control system for the entire village. This system was designed to guide the movement of wild boars and reduce long-term conflict with wildlife. This time, the question was no longer, how many wild boars can we catch? But how to ensure the entire village could sleep peacefully again. The biggest change was not the equipment, but the mindset. The goal of the system was not to catch as many boars as possible, but to break their habit of moving toward the village. The focus shifted from reaction to prevention. Instead of placing traps in areas already heavily damaged, control structures were positioned in transition zones, places where wild boars usually slow down when moving from the forest toward farmland. Here, they reduce their speed, observe their surroundings, and assess the environment before choosing their next direction. These are the critical points in their travel routes. Even a small change here can influence the movement of an entire herd. For that reason, each structure is not considered a separate trap, but part of a broader control network surrounding the village. Effective control begins with strategy, not tools. Once the system was established, residents began using bait to attract the wild boars. During the early stage, no traps were activated. Everything remained unchanged for several nights, allowing the boars to approach, observe, and gradually become familiar with the structures.
Come on. Load up. Dusty. Come on. Come on.
The cameras installed were not meant to count animals, but to track how they move, how long they stay, and how the group responds to the environment. This data helps managers understand wild boar behavior and make decisions based on observation rather than guesswork or instinct. By avoiding rushed intervention, the system operates according to natural behavior instead of forcing outcomes. When animals do not feel threatened, their true behavior becomes visible. There is no sudden blockade and no aggressive driving away. Instead, subtle adjustments gradually reduce how often wild boars move deeper toward the village, guiding them back to their natural areas. For the wild boars, these are simply different choices within their environment. But for humans, it is a way of guiding behavior without increasing stress or unnecessary risk. The entire system functions as a unified structure, driven by data, timing, and coordination between people. A system is only truly effective when every part moves in the same rhythm. By the next morning, the village slowly returns to its familiar rhythm. There are no new tracks on the ground and no new damage to fields or homes. Life begins to stabilize again. In wildlife management, long-term solutions rarely come from direct confrontation. They come from understanding animal behavior, using data, and applying responsible guidance strategies. Peace does not come from how many animals are captured in a single night, but from creating an environment where people and nature can coexist without conflict.
There you go, there you go. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep. Let's go, let's go. Yep, 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 yep. There you go.
If you found this story interesting, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel to explore more real stories about life and nature. Over $50,000 worth of crops in Texas were destroyed overnight under the hooves of a massive wild boar herd. Now, the largest trap ever set is ready. Will they manage to catch the entire herd in one go, or will everything continue to be destroyed before the farm is saved? This video documents the entire process of setting up the 30-foot diameter circular trap to capture an entire herd of wild boars. This is a very large number of boars, and if successful, it will capture a significant amount. This is the largest trap the farmer has ever set. The goal is to catch at least 30 boars at once. If the entire herd isn't caught, the remaining ones will become wary, and it will be harder to trap them the next time. This all stems from the fact that this 500-acre farm has suffered significant losses. In Texas, wild boars are no longer a rare sight in a few remote farms. They appear everywhere, from the dry slopes in the west, cotton and cornfields in the central, to the dense forested riverbanks in the east. Deep footprints in the wet mud are becoming more common. It's not just one or two wandering boars, but entire herds moving at night. Texas is now considered the epicenter of the wild boar crisis in the U.S., with over 2.5 million boars, nearly half of the wild boar population in the country. Texas wild boars are actually a mix of different breeds. Escaped domestic pigs and wild boars imported from Europe for sport hunting many decades ago. They are heat-resistant, good at finding water, and can eat almost anything. An adult boar can weigh between 200 to 660 pounds. Large boars with broad shoulders and thick fat layers can easily knock down steel fences if the structure is not sturdy enough. They live in herds, called sounders, consisting of sows and piglets. A herd can have anywhere from 10 to more than 30 members. Mature boars typically live alone, only joining the herd during mating season. Wild boars are mostly nocturnal, especially in areas with high hunting pressure. Their sense of smell is extremely sharp. Even the smallest change in smell or sound can cause the entire herd to change direction. wild boars can carry dangerous diseases like brucellosis and leptospirosis, posing threats to livestock and humans. Traffic accidents involving wild boars are not uncommon, especially on rural roads at night. If left uncontrolled, these aggressive wild boars will continue to devastate farmland. To combat this, Texas allows year-round wild boar hunting on private land without seasonal restrictions. Control methods include large cage traps, remote-controlled corral traps, night hunting with night vision goggles, and even controlled helicopter hunting on large 1,000-acre farms. A 4-gauge steel circular trap was built like a solid fortress. The circular design creates an open space, encouraging the entire herd of boars to confidently walk in. The 8-foot steel gate, weighing 150 pounds, is connected via LTE and can be activated remotely via phone. The trap is set at an intersection. The steel gate is carefully barricaded to prevent the herd from escaping and is secured by T-shaped steel posts driven 90 centimeters deep to withstand the push of mature boars. Every day, about 90 kilograms of corn is scattered. The gate is left open for 3 to 5 nights to allow the herd to familiarize itself with the trap. When the infrared camera confirms the entire herd is deep inside, the gate is activated from 6.6 kilometers away via a silencer. The reason I do this is that there are other boars inside the trap, and once the gate closes, there will be no way out. As a result, 32 wild boars were trapped with an estimated total weight of over 2,500 pounds.
The call came at 6 a.m. A farmer said that his entire field had been torn up in just one night. He explained that the newly planted soybean rows had been uprooted everywhere. The soil turned into long furrows, as if a tractor had passed through in the dark. He was certain that the wild boars had returned. I quickly gathered my equipment and headed to the farm on the edge of town. When I arrived, the tracks across the field told the whole story. For me, this was not an unfamiliar sight. After many years working in wildlife control teams, I know that once a sounder of wild boars begins returning to a feeding area, the damage can escalate very quickly if it is not handled in time. At first, we decided to try a medium-sized steel cage trap. This type of trap is often used when only a few wild boars are suspected to be active in the area. frame was about 2 meters long and a little over 1 meter wide, strong enough to hold fully grown animals weighing dozens of kilograms. Inside, we placed fermented corn mixed with barley. The smell of the mixture is strong enough to attract wild boars from quite a distance. After checking the drop door mechanism, we left the area and allowed the cameras to record everything that happened during the night. In the recorded footage, the wild boars appeared from the edge of the forest. They moved slowly forward, sniffing the ground as they approached. One large animal stepped inside first, and the others followed one by one. Eventually, several wild boars were inside the trap, but in later clips, many more could still be seen circling outside before disappearing back into the forest before sunrise. Looking at those images, I realized the small trap was solving only a small part of the problem. Once wild boars become familiar with a food source in an area, they usually travel in large groups. If only a few are caught, the rest will return and the damage will continue. So we decided to change our strategy. The next day, a large corral-style trap system was installed in an open area near where the boars usually passed. Steel posts were driven into the ground to form a circular enclosure dozens of meters wide. A steel mesh fence nearly 3 meters high was secured around it to prevent the animals from jumping out. Two one-way doors were installed at the entrance. When a boar pushed the door inward, the hinge mechanism caused it to swing shut behind it. Instead of placing bait in a single spot, we scattered fermented corn along a trail leading from outside the trap into the center. This method helps the animals gradually become comfortable with the structure without feeling forced. During the first few days, we simply left bait around the area so the boars could move in and out freely. Infrared cameras recorded their movements every night. With each passing night, more animals appeared. It became clear that the herd had started treating the area as a regular feeding ground. By the fourth night, when we activated the door system, almost the entire herd had moved inside. In the footage, the animals walked through the entrance one after another. There was no panic. They were focused only on the food ahead. When the last one stepped inside, the door quietly closed. The entire group was contained with almost no loud noise. From a distance, we could hear the faint sound of metal vibrating as the boars moved inside the steel enclosure. As we approached, the scene became clear. Dozens of wild boars were crowded inside the trap. We quickly inspected the entire frame, tightened the locking points, and ensured the structure remained stable. In wildlife management work, experience shows that effective control does not come from rushed actions. It comes from understanding how animals move, how they search for food, and how they respond to their environment. Once those patterns are understood, control measures can be carried out in a responsible and effective way.
In many rural areas, the presence of wild boars rarely begins with loud or obvious signs. It usually starts with very subtle changes: a few garden beds dug up overnight, deep hoofprints pressed along the edge of a fence, or a corner of the yard overturned as if something had just been searched for beneath the soil. Wild boars are animals with strong memories and remarkable adaptability. They do not move randomly as many people assume. Within each herd, there are typically alert individuals that act as observers. They move ahead or pause to check the surroundings before the rest of the herd approaches a new area. If they detect anything unusual, the entire group withdraws immediately. This caution makes managing them far more difficult than simply placing a basic trap in the middle of a field. For that reason, the first step in the management process is usually not to set a trap right away. It begins with monitoring. Infrared cameras are installed along the trails that the herd frequently travels. These devices operate throughout the night, recording the time of appearance, direction of movement, and the number of individuals in the herd. Data that may seem simple plays a crucial role in shaping the strategy behind the operation. Without accurate information, any trap is based merely on assumption. After several days of observation, wildlife management teams begin preparing the trapping site. What matters is not deploying the trap as quickly as possible, but making the location familiar to the herd. Bait is placed in the same position for several consecutive nights. At first, only a few individuals enter the area. Gradually, the entire herd returns more frequently. When the wild boars no longer display signs of wariness, It indicates that they have accepted the site as a normal part of their surrounding environment. The design of the trapping system also plays a vital role. Many modern models use circular or wide arc-shaped structures. This shape eliminates narrow corners that wild boars often use to push against or brace themselves against the frame. When fixed leverage points are absent, panic responses are significantly reduced. This not only keeps the herd stable, but also makes subsequent handling safer for both humans and animals. Another factor that is rarely mentioned, but extremely important, is the timing of system activation. The objective of the trap is not merely to capture a single individual. In wild boar management, effectiveness is achieved only when most of the herd is controlled at the same time. Therefore, many modern systems use cameras that transmit live images to a phone or monitoring device. Operators can observe remotely and wait until the entire herd has entered the area before triggering the closing mechanism. The entire process unfolds quickly and causes minimal disturbance to the surrounding environment. There are no sudden loud noises or prolonged chases.
Come on. Come on.
When the system functions properly, the herd barely notices the change until the enclosure has been fully secured. Notably, these systems are not built on strength or direct confrontation. They are developed from a clear understanding of animal behavior. When people take the time to observe how wild boars move, how they respond to their environment, and how they make choices, management becomes far more effective.
Let's go. Yep, yep.
In modern wildlife management, the trap is no longer viewed as a symbol of coercion. It has become part of a long-term strategy aimed at reducing conflict between humans and nature. When properly designed and responsibly used, trapping systems help protect crops, property, and the stability of rural communities. Ultimately, what makes the difference is not the size of the trap or the strength of its materials. The difference lies in how people approach the problem. When, instead of reacting hastily, they choose to observe, analyze, and act at the right moment, wild boar management becomes a controlled, sustainable process aligned with ecological balance.